Hello, my name is Landon, and welcome to the In Their 20s podcast, a show created for people in their 20s. Today, we spoke with Ruben Harris, who is the CEO and co-founder of CareerKarma, a company that connects students to coding bootcamps. Ruben got his start creating a podcast called Breaking Into Startups, a show that amassed over 3 million listeners and also was based off of the experiences of his own life. So let's jump into this interview with Ruben to hear about his experiences, his professional journey, and his advice for people in their 20s. You're in the Bay Area right now, right?
Yes, sir. Where
So
you at?
I'm in Chicago right now. I've been here for about 5 years, but I'm born and raised in the Bay. So Ruben, before we hop in, I want to talk about my show a little bit and say that I'm really stoked for this interview. I've been following your journey for a while, not only because you are Oakland entrepreneur right now, which means a lot to me to see that come out of the city, but also just I love what you're doing. It's nice seeing someone that looks like me doing really big things as well. So I've been following your journey for a minute now, and just really, again, thank you for hopping on with me today.
Likewise, man. No, I'm really excited about what you're doing as well. I think it's special. I think I've been in the same seat. I'm still in the same seat recording content, and it's cool to see people that have fire inside, like people working on the weekends. I see the art in the background, so we got kindred spirits,
Of
So
course.
it looks like
Sure.
kind of like got like Roscoe energy.
So, Ruben, we can get started. So, again, this is the In Their 20s podcast. We've been interviewing influential people to talk about what they're doing in their 20s, just to provide people with the best advice that they need to succeed. Because, of course, in order to become successful, you need to see success. So, we're just looking to scale unique stories, backgrounds of people, amazing people like you. So, to begin, I want to talk about where you were early in your 20s. I know you graduated from Southern Adventist University in 2010. Your first job out of college was with BMO, investment banking. I came across something super interesting I want you to elaborate on. I saw that you secured this position after sending over 1,900 cold emails to potential employers in investment banking. So just
Hmm?
talk to us about your early 20s.
Yeah. Um, so this might be a cliche mantra. I don't know if somebody said it on your podcast before, but I'm a big believer in like learning your 20s, earning your 30s. Um, and so I wanted to learn as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Ideally, making money as well, but like you know, I I see knowledge as like gold and as rubies, and so like if you can get an exponential learning curve going somewhere, then like I would prefer that over anything, even in my 30s as well. Um, and so when I was in college, people wanted to be investment bankers or consultants. That was the thing. And when you think about investment banking, everybody is talking about exit opportunities to go into private equity or hedge funds or whatever, or traders or whatever. Like so, I didn't want to. At first, I kind of wanted to be like a master of the universe is what they call it. In finance, um, and other like colorful words. But for me, it started to boil down to how can I learn as much about business in a short amount of time. And so bankers are known for working 80 to 100 hours a week. And granted, a lot sometimes that's unnecessary. Like there's a lot of FaceTime that's involved, a lot of politics that's involved, where like people are sometimes sitting around not doing work. But in some banks, they actually are doing work, and it is overwork. However, my mindset was the 10,000 hour theory, right? And Malcolm Gladwell was like, if you put 10,000 hours towards anything, you're gonna learn it. So I figured if I spent 2 or 3 years working 80, 100 hours a week in investment banking, then I would master business or at least have a high level understanding of business. I was a business administration major, and the reason why I didn't focus on a concentration like accounting, but I did have an emphasis in finance, is because I wanted to have a broad understanding of the various functions in a business organization. And I felt investment banking really gave me that learning experience that I needed that set up the foundation for what I do today.
Love that. So a lot of people love getting involved in something new that they're unfamiliar with or taking risks to understand whether or not they want to, get involved further with it or if they like it or dislike it. Do you consider yourself to be one of those people? Like you need to try something to see firsthand if you like it or you don't like it?
So I actually take a different approach. I try to eliminate I can't or I don't like from my vocabulary. Because the facts are, in life, you're going to do things that you don't like. And I take the David Goggins mindset where you should do something that sucks every day, right? Which is actually where the growth is, and where, like, if you're doing things that you like only every day, you're not really growing. Like, I mean, you are, but like you have to push yourself into like sucky situations to figure out what you're made of, right?
I love that.
And and I think that's my approach. And a good example is like when I was in college, I hated and I didn't like music history class. I didn't see the value of it. Same thing with like music theory and oral theory. Um, and I like didn't take the classes. Like I mean, I would go there, and I wouldn't read the books. But because I was naturally good at playing better than everybody else on the cello, I crippled myself, and I alienated myself from those blessings and that knowledge that I could have learned. Where today I'm playing catch up on a lot of music history or music theory or oral theory that I could have benefited from even now. Um, 30 years later playing the cello, that if I wasn't so hard headed and if I wasn't just optimizing for things that I um like I could have grown stronger. So now I try to just try things, as long as they're aligned with my path, whether I like them or not. And what I'm looking for is the utility in it. Like my cello teacher told me one time, this is where I learned it from. His name's Dr. James Stroud. I had a lot of child teachers. I had Bonnie Bull, Wolfgang Lawford, Dr. James Stroud. He passed away, and he was like, I remember he told me a new piece to learn, and I was like, I don't like that piece. And he said, Ruben, nobody gives a fuck what you like. There's utility in everything, and you have to actually like learn it so you can see the value in it and how it can help you get to where you want to go.
I love that because if you never try it out, you're never gonna know.
It's
Um,
like leg day. It's like squats. It's like deadlifts. Like most people don't like training legs, but like that's what you should lean into. Like lean into whatever you don't like to work out and do that twice a week.
I love that. So just looking at your track record, Ruben, you've been involved in so many awesome and unique things. You mentioned cello, music, entrepreneurship, clearly, and your podcast, which I want to discuss a little bit. Breaking into startups, you give career advice to non-traditional people trying to get jobs in technology. So far, I believe you've amassed over 3 million listeners since its creation. I want to talk about the creation of your podcast, what led to this, and what you learned during this journey.
Yeah. So when I was in college, I worked in radio at a classical music radio station. In addition to like janitorial work and some other things, um, throwing parties at clubs. That wasn't an official job, but that's what I did. Um, Made money.
Got it.
But working in clubs and the radio, you understand the power of radio, right? So for every event, like you're partnering with like V103 and 107.9 to promote the party. Sometimes you're streaming the party live in the club, actually. Like literally the radio is like what's being played in the club and you can hear the DJ and everything, like even today.
Yeah.
Um, which is very interesting as you think about like live streaming with Twitch and with video or even what's happening with Clubhouse and stuff like that. Um, but I always understood the power of sound, whether it's like music being a universal language or
Mhm.
even a love language, music being a love language, or for therapy, right? Sometimes people just want to be heard, right? Like a lot of times people just want to vent and they don't want you to respond, and just like being heard is healing, like being understood is healing, being able to like express yourself out loud is healing. Um, and it helps you also discover who you can relate to. So growing up, I also with my mother, my father, and my sister brother, we would listen to books on audio. There was something called Adventures in Odyssey. So we would listen to Adventures in Odyssey every week. Um, we would get unabridged recordings of books from the library every week. Because even the way that I learned cello was through sound. It's interesting. I mean, I'm talking about it out loud. I just was thinking about. It's kind of interesting, and that kind of laid the foundation for um, the importance of communication. Like in college, I didn't really like writing that much, but then I took that music history class, and they talked about the philosophers and like Socrates and a bunch of Plato, all these other people, and they were talking about how they're social reformers and how they had followers like Jesus, and they literally went from town to town educating people, and talked about like different prophets. And so, long story short, I created a blog called The Social Reformer, and I started like getting into writing more with my friend Adam Wamat, and we would talk about very deep subjects. Like when Twitter first came out, I was one of the first 75, I was top 75 in the world on Twitter early on before celebrities were on there. And I was talking about how Twitter is this digital revolution. And I had like memes that I would put up back in the day that was like stop or I'll tweet whenever there was like people attacking oppressed communities, and how like the power of the phone to like shine light on people abusing others was a big deal. Um, so I saw that communication happen. I talked about humanity 2.0 and the internet coming, and I say all of this because I was actually on Posterous early on, which is Gary Chan, who's on our board now.
Of
He
course.
actually was the founder of Posterous, so I was actually using Posterous in college before it was sold to Twitter. So I was using that medium. I was using Twitter, and I just saw the power of technology giving us a voice. Like, look at what we're doing right now. You're giving me a voice. You're giving yourself a voice. Um, and and um, when I got to the Bay Area, or when I got into investment banking, like you read the story that I wrote a long time ago,
Mhm.
which was in college, which is how I broke into investment banking. I put my whole story on display, and that was powerful. And the course that I took to learn the skills to get into investment bank was called Breaking into Wall Street. So when I got into tech, I wrote a story about it called Breaking into Startups that was also received well. Now that zooms into your question, which is or sets up your question or the answer to your question, which is um, when you're looking at communication, you got to see how communication evolves, right? And so podcast. So when I posted the Breaking Stars blog post, I did it on Medium,
Mhm.
and that was that was while everybody was on Blogger. So it was before. So Medium was the hot thing, right? Today it's like Substack, right? And then I started noticing that podcasting was a thing. So like I didn't really see a lot of people doing podcasts, so I doubled down on podcasts, and I got a relationship with TechCrunch to publish on TechCrunch. And the reason why I thought podcasts were interesting is because it builds on what I learned from radio, where like most people that listen to podcasts are rich and educated, and most people that listen to radio are poor and uneducated. And the ads that come out of uneducated or didn't go to college, that's a better way to say it. Educated but didn't go to college. Um, the people that listen to podcasts often are listening to ads about things that can make them better, and the things that come out of radio could be ads about things that can make them worse, like junk food and soda and stuff like that. That like isn't good and keeps us stuck. So I
Mhm.
was like, well, how can we like take the energy of podcasts and that enlightens people and get it to the masses? And like I noticed that our most people listen to radio in the car, and the car is going to be taken over by electric, like you see what's happening with Ford and Tesla,
Mhm.
and Bluetooth powered, and essentially it's going to be a computer on wheels. So if I double down on podcasts, not only will I be able to be listened to in the car, I could also be listened to on the phone and on Alexa and Google Home smartphone devices that weren't even invented when I started podcasting. And and then I noticed that like to be a big podcaster, it didn't really require a lot because most podcasts don't get over 5,000 listens, and the only difference between us and everybody else is just going to be like, well, there's a lot of differences, but consistency, right?
Mhm.
And something that I learned from Atlanta is um, just dropping content and how content is alive. And so versus like making one album and then sitting back on it and then dropping another album 10 years later, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna be the Gucci Man of podcasts. So I'm gonna just drop 2 to 3 podcasts a week, which is how we started. and it just started flooding the market like that. So anyway, I say all of that just to say that um, once we understood that audio was a big thing and that was the new format, we we started sharing, finding people that were like us, like you said, were kindred spirits that figured out how to break and attack and share their stories on there, and it ended up being really awesome and started attracting the right people that we've now doubled down on and introduced audio into our app and
Yeah.
CareerKarma, where we now have live audio rooms because we've also noticed how live audio rooms are now an evolution of communication again. And here we are.
Love that, Ruben. There's a lot to extract there. First off, I love hearing about your early influence on Blogger, Medium, Twitter. I'm going to be
Mhm.
interviewing Ev Williams soon, so I'd love to
Oh,
bring that
super
up to
cool.
him. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really
that'd be great.
exciting.
Yeah,
Um,
James Joaquin, who works with Ev Williams
oh wow,
at Obvious Ventures, he's one of our angels.
wow, that's really dope. That's tight.
Hmm.
So then also just looking at podcasting right now, I just read a quote or statistic a while back. I believe it was during quarantine, like first year of quarantine, 41% of U.S. Americans over 12 consider themselves to be monthly podcast listeners. So
That's
clearly,
interesting.
that's going to continue to grow. Audio, I mean, it's amazing that you saw how powerful that was going to be early because you were right. Your bet was right. Looking at how big audio has become, I'm curious, just in your mind, what do you think's next? I know Karma, you guys are experimenting with social audio rooms. We see things like Clubhouse coming out, Twitter Spaces. Do you think we're going to be set on, social audio right now for a little bit, or do you think we're going to see something pivot within the next few months or years within the audio space?
The reason why I think audio is special is because the ability to create is very easy, right? It's like, and it's high quality, right? Creating a podcast is hard, right? Or harder, but like people talk on the phone every day, right? Um, People fall asleep on the phone speaking with their girlfriend all night. They could just riff. They don't have to worry about editing it, right? Some people just when the podcast is turn the mic on, right, and just no script, no pre-questions, just go. Like that's how we like to do it a lot of times. Um, and so I think that's special. I also think it's less intimidating than video. Um, However, I think if you want to see what's happening next, I would study what TikTok is doing. I think TikTok is um, not only leveraging video, which a lot of people talk about, just like video and distribution, they're also leveraging audio.
Hmm.
Right? I really love um, how they've introduced audio and how you could remix videos.
Hmm.
I think that's actually really unique. That's not just powerful for musicians, but just like even podcasters to like mix up special clips. Like you know how kind of like people put captions under pictures,
Yeah.
right? You can do the same type of thing where like you have a quotable from a movie or for something that you said and just have it go viral on different videos. Or like and I grew up in an era where like a lot of people I grew up in an era where a lot of people I'm 34. Where like a lot of people um used to want to just make jingles, right?
Hmm.
And make jingles go viral. So I think jingles are gonna make a comeback. Soldier Boy is about to do a versus
Yep.
with Bow Wow, but Soldier
Excited for
Boy is
that.
like the original. You got to give Soldier Boy credit. Like I saw what he did with ringtones, right? And ringtones like and this leveraging things like MySpace and just seeing that blow up during the Black Planet era and the Mi Gente era. Like
Hmm.
I think we're going to see a resurgence of audio in that regard and creators being able to get paid to make sound for video. Um, I think social audio is not going away. I think it's definitely going to be a thing that's pervasive. It's going to be like Instagram stories,
Yeah.
um, where it's something that's copied by every platform. Like every platform got stories now. Um, but I think TikTok, I think video is still king because video can be chopped down into audio and then
Yeah.
into text, but video is the hardest to create
Of course.
um, and requires like good lighting, good editing. The sound files are huge, and a bunch of other things. And it's definitely something that we want to crack on, that we will crack. But that is it is a bigger mountain to climb. But I would just study TikTok to see where things are going. Um, I also like what Snapchat is doing a lot. Um, but I know they're more like on the AR type of thing. But I
Yeah,
really like what they've been doing with the camera, like to make the camera more exclusive. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's pretty awesome. Um, and people are going to recognize who creates the best content,
of course. Yeah, no,
which is us,
TikTok has been
our
really
people.
exciting to watch for sure. I know that they're going to be dabbling in the career recruiting space as well, like just allowing
Yes,
these kids to create
yes,
video resumes. I'm excited for that, and I
yes.
think they have the platform.
Video resumes, you're starting to see even like video pitches
Yeah.
for investors, like leveraging platforms like the platform that's the competitor to Zoom that the founder of Evernote started. I think
Mhm.
Loom and Noom, like, no, not Noom, like Loom. Like people are like making different types of
Yeah.
video pitches, and not just decks anymore, which you learn how to put together
Yeah.
through things like investment banking. I still like decks and presentations. Um, but who knows? Maybe you'll see me make a video for the next raise. We'll
Love to
see.
see that. Speaking of the raise, and this will be our last question because I know you're a busy guy. I don't want to take up too much time of your day. And again, Ruben, appreciate you taking time out of your schedule on a Sunday to speak with me. But I'd
No
love
problem,
to
man.
talk about the idea behind Career Karma. Of course, you recently raised $10 million to connect students to coding boot camps. I just want you to have the floor. How did this idea come to life? What have you learned during this journey? And what's next?
Yeah, so CareerKarma is the product that we wish that we had when we were breaking into tech. And for the people that don't know, you explained it well. It's the easiest way to find a job training program online. So we match workers to boot camps, also known as job training programs, so
Mhm.
they can get high-paying jobs in tech in about a year. We currently offer 6 different career paths in technical and non-technical roles, including software engineering and sales. And what makes us unique is not only will we match you to the programs and help you get enrolled in the program, um, we will give you support during the program. So just for perspective, every time we enroll someone or match someone with the school, we get paid, then we use those dollars to reinvest back in the platform to keep it free for people,
Mhm.
but also to produce these live audio rooms that function as mentorship for these individuals, support like study groups with people that are like them that are in these programs, but also um, career services. So whenever they get to the job search, they're connected to over 2,000 companies. Companies are hosting events inside of Career Karma. Engineers that are working can get them into the hiring process. So they have a built-in network and support group no matter where they live that can help them go to where they want to go. Like if you're in the south side of Chicago, for example, where you live, you don't live in the south side, but like, and I don't know where you live, but like in Chicago,
Yeah.
a lot of times it will be hard to find other people on the south side that also are learning how to code. But if you can join Career Karma, not only can you find people from the south side of Chicago, but they can also speak with you and work with you and collaborate with you and be with you on your journey for life, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, where things are going is um, boot camps are the first rapid reskilling model at scale that traditional education players are copying. So, like trade schools, like are launching their own income share agreement programs, which don't require you to pay money to go to their program. And if you don't get a job, you don't pay anything. If you do get a job, tuition comes out of your new salary. That's what boot camps pioneered. Now trade schools are copying. It actually started with colleges at Yale. This promise to get you a job, and if you don't get a job, you don't get anything. But people got away from it. But
Mhm.
now that the world doesn't just want an education or a certificate or degree, they want a job. The education system is being forced to do right by people, or hopefully do right by people, and not just run up this student loan debt that's not like 1.7 trillion. And so, um, currently we're working with boot camps, but eventually we're going to be working with trade schools, colleges, and universities,
Wow.
um, and matching people to which training programs best for them. But also massive open online courses. You see, Coursera just went public. Um, um, Maven just raised with cohort-based courses. But I actually think that the individual as a creator is actually going to be the most powerful educator in the future. Um, YouTube is one of the biggest education systems. But I think there's a really good article about South Korea's millionaire teachers and how they're starting to teach people just by themselves and getting them effective outcomes. And so Career Karma wants to match people to whatever training is best for that individual to get whatever skill set that they want for
Mhm.
whatever career path that they desire. And we want to surround them by peers, coaches, and mentors in our community through live audio rooms so that they make sure that they complete the program and are able to find a job because contrary to popular belief, I know we talked a lot about education. Education alone is not the savior and it's not what's going to get you the job. A career transition is very psychological. So even if you have the skills, there's a lot of people that are long-term unemployed because they don't know how to communicate what
Yeah.
they've done or they don't know how to just demonstrate what they've done and show what they've built um, and to network. And so we will help people in that regard and eventually become the world's largest staffing firm.
Awesome. Ruben, I love to hear it. I'm really excited for the future of the company. Sounds really interesting and it's really needed as well. I think and it shouldn't be a rare thing, but we're seeing a lot of these companies are not really bringing true value to customers. But it seems that what you guys are doing, that's a necessity. People
Hmm.
need to
Hmm.
understand how to get new jobs, how to, translate what they're doing, communicate, network. Everything you're looking to accomplish with this company is really exciting. That's why you have so much excitement behind you and support. So again, thank you for speaking on that.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Ruben, it was a pleasure. Let's stay in touch. And yeah, when this
Yeah,
goes live, I'll make sure to email.
sounds good, brother. Thank
All
you,
right,
man.
man. All right. Enjoy the museum. Bye.
So